Hi guys, my name is Miss Montgomery if you haven't met me yet this year. I am one of the fourth grade teachers and I will be helping out with teaching social studies this year. So I'm super excited because in social studies this year, you get to learn all about Colorado geography and Colorado history, which is super exciting. So our first real Colorado history assignment is going to be making a timeline of yourself. And the reason we're making a timeline about yourself is because in Colorado history, we use timelines all the time for our research and to learn more about our history and what events take place. Okay, so I am going to present my screen and I'm going to show you what you're going to do today. Give me a sec here. Let me present this. Okay. So I'm going to share this slideshow with you. And it's called Social Studies Timeline. And this first slide here actually gives you a great example of a timeline that you'd see in our Colorado history book. So I'm going to zoom in here and you can do the same. To read this a little better, I'm going to try 200%. So yeah, this is much better. So you can see a timeline goes from the earliest event to the most recent events, okay? And when we use a timeline, we put events in order. It kind of reminds me of a flow map, how we sequence events. A timeline is very similar to that. So as you can see on this timeline, the latest date that we can see on here is 1680. Then if I scroll over here, this date is 1800. And this is actually zoomed in. So this timeline actually goes even before that. But as you can see, the time or the events are put in time order here. So if you follow the dates, they go in order. Okay. So that's what you're going to do today with a timeline of your life. So this will be really fun because I'll get to know more about you by looking at your timeline. These other pictures on the slideshow are just more zoomed in so you can kind of see an example of what a real timeline is like. So the first thing you're going to do when you make your timeline, let me zoom this back out, is you're going to make a circle map like I did here. Okay, so this is my circle map. And what I did first is I just brainstormed all of the most important events that happened in my life. Now, what I did is I did something a little bit different. I just chose the events in the past 10 years of my life because I wanted to make sure my timeline kind of looked like yours. Since you're only 9 and 10 years old, I wanted to show you what a 10-year timeline looked like. If I did my real timeline, it would be 29 years. Okay, so much longer. So this is just a timeline of the past 10 years of my life. Okay, so what I did is I just started brainstorming events and I wrote down the year that they occurred in. The best I could remember. Like some events, I was like, oh, I think that happened in 2017, but I wasn't sure. But just so it's the ballpark year. Some people asked me today if you need the exact date. You definitely don't need the same exact date for this assignment. Now you'll see in Colorado history, they do sometimes put the exact dates. But for our purpose, we just want a ballpark year. And like I said, if you can't remember the exact year, just guess. Okay. All right. So let me show you what I have on my timeline for my most important events. So I put that I got engaged to Jared in 2019. That's my fiance, and we're getting married this summer. So I thought that was pretty important. I should put on my timeline. I went to college in 2009 to 2013, and I also played golf in college. So that was a really important event in my life. In 2017, I went on a huge cross-country road trip for 3 weeks. So I thought that was super important and probably my favorite vacation. So I wanted to add that on my timeline. Let's see, I met Jared in 2014. I moved to Colorado in 2014. I got my first real job at Buffalo Ridge in 2014 to present time. So 2014 was a pretty big year for me. I graduated from high school in 2009 and I got my first hole-in-one this summer in 2020. Okay, so that is my brainstorm, and I would suggest putting your events down first. You can put the date down as well, or you can put the date after you get your events down. Then what I would do is, I don't know if you noticed this, but I put numbers here right next to each event. So the first event that's going to be on my timeline, the earliest event, is this event here. So my first thing I did in the past 10 years was I graduated from high school. So that will go first, and then went to college, and then let's see, what's number 3? Oh, then I moved to Colorado. So I'm just going to go in order from there. And those numbers really helped me when I made my real timeline. So here's my timeline. Here's my finished product. So your teacher gave you a large piece of white paper on the last day you were at school. This is what you're going to do on that large piece of paper. Okay, so the first thing I did when I made this timeline was I made a very straight line here, and I just used a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, don't worry, just do the best you can. Okay, but I just drew a straight line that went all the way across the long way of my paper. Okay, the second thing what I did is I titled it. Okay, so you would put your name, obviously, and you don't even have to put this 2009 to present, because it's just going to be a timeline of your whole life. So for example, your first event would be the year that you were born. Okay, and then it would end 2020, which is our current year. Okay. Okay, so after I put my title, I put the very first date, which in my case was 2009. I'm assuming you guys were born actually after I graduated from high school, which just makes me very old. Okay, but anyways, here's 2009. Here's 2020. So I marked this line, and then I marked this line actually, okay? And then I kind of found the middle, and I was like, okay, about the middle would be like 2014 or 2015 right here. And then I marked this one, okay? That was kind of my middle event. And then I kind of worked back from there. You can do it however you like, but I would suggest putting your first date and the most recent date here, okay? So as you can see, I jazzed this up a little bit. I still put my events in order, okay? I added some doodles there. You can definitely add doodles. You can definitely add color, make it really fancy if you want. But I want to point out what I did down here, because these are some special things down here. I'm guessing what you're probably wondering what they are, because they go off my timeline. So this part right here is when I went to college. So obviously I went to college for more than 1 year. I went there from 2009 to 2013. So I put those dates, let me zoom in here. I put those dates right here, okay? And I almost made a second timeline down there, okay? Because I could have put it up here too, and you can totally do that if you want. You can just make it a different color. But I just liked keeping my other stuff that lasted longer than 1 year down there. So I put that I went to University of North Dakota, played college golf. Down here, obviously this needs needs some time too. So I put another, line down there. This is when I've been teaching at Buffalo Ridge. So I started way back in 2014 when I moved to Colorado, and then all the way up to present time. And I even left this an arrow here because I'm still teaching. Like when 2020 is over, I'm still going to be teaching on and on, right? Okay, so hopefully that gave you some tips to make your timeline. You want to make sure that it all fits on the paper. So what I did too, I forgot to tell you this, is I did it in pencil first, then I went over in marker. You can totally do that. And if you accidentally mess up, no worries. You can always use the back of your big piece of paper. If the marker bled through, you can just tape 2 blank pieces of paper together. Okay, be problem solvers. You guys can do this. But other than that, I think that's all I have for you. I'm super excited to see what you guys come up with and how you make your timeline creative, and all your events that you come up with. Oh, I know I'm going to probably get this question. How many events do I need? I would say at least 6 events, okay? I think we can all come up with at least 6 important events that we have in our life, okay? So think about, like, have you moved houses? Because that's a huge event in your life. Maybe a special vacation that you went on with your family. Maybe when a sibling was born. It could be really anything. Maybe the year you learned how to ride your bike, or the year you started playing your favorite sport or your favorite activity. Okay, it can really be anything. These are just events that are important to you. So try to think of at least 6. Now, being born, that's one freebie for you. Okay, so you really only have to come up with 5 more. But fill your timeline up. If you have tons of important events, fill it on up. I'm so excited to learn more about you, and I know your classmates are super excited to learn more about you too. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that. And then if you guys have any questions, you can always send me an email. So my email is my first name, Chantel, Shantel, Montgomery, Montgomery, and then the @ sign, so at dcsdk12.org. And you can send me an email if you're in Mrs. Harmio's class, Mrs. Hartman's class, or of course my class too. So just let me know if you guys have any questions. But remember, we are problem solvers. So try to problem solve first on your own, and I will be so proud of you if you solved your own problem. All right, I can't wait to see your awesome timelines. Have a great day.